Welcome into the Sports Talks 4022 YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the night before the big tournament begins tomorrow. The greatest tournament in all the sports. There is nothing even close to a better postseason than March Madness. I don't want to hear the NBA. I definitely don't want to hear the NBA. I don't want to hear the NHL. Don't want to hear the NFL. Don't want to hear the MLB. Don't hear any college football, etc. This is the greatest tournament in sports, gentlemen. And we have a great year ahead of great bracket coming here ahead of us. So I'm going to give you guys my March Madness bracket. So we'll go here some breakdowns as well. We'll get all into it. It should be fun. We'll start off with the South region. We'll just kind of go round by round. But yeah, we'll start with the South region here. Auburn versus Alabama State. No question here, obviously. Give me Auburn to win this one. I mean, Alabama State, phenomenal victory last night, against St. Francis. But, I mean, come on, it's Auburn. Louisville versus Creighton. This is, people think, the best game of round one. I actually disagree with that. Guys, we do need to remember that Louisville is a top 10 team in the country right now. They're actually number 10 in the AP poll. And somehow they're at 8. And I don't understand that at all. And I expect them to do kind of what UNC did last night. Everyone's talking down on them. Everyone's, counting them out. And North Carolina last night just dominated San Diego State. Creighton, I think they're going to match up pretty well. But at the end of the day, I just think this Louisville team's a better squad overall. I really like Creighton, don't get me wrong. But I just think Louisville's a way better team out here. I think they shoot the ball better. I think they have a bit better of a... Actually, I don't know. Offense is very similar, but I like the Louisville defense a bit more than I like the Creighton defense. And this Louisville team is number 10 in the country. But for some reason, they have them as an 8 team, which I don't understand. Michigan versus UC San Diego. I like Michigan here. I've been talking kind of high about this San Diego team. I did think UC Irvine was going to beat them in the championship in that conference tournament. But when I see this here, I just see Michigan all day. So people will say, yeah, UC San Diego shoots the 3 very well, which they do. Don't get me wrong. Very well 3-point shooting team. But Michigan's defense is not going to let them get that many shots off. They're just not. They're not going to let them get that many shots off. So I like Michigan here to beat UC San Diego. Texas A&M taking on Yale. This one should be an interesting one tomorrow here at 7:25. I like the upset here. I like Yale a lot. And a lot of people I've heard have actually said this is not the same Yale team. Guys, Yale had 1 loss in conference play in the Ivy League. And the Ivy League is not a bad conference at all. It's obviously not a powerhouse. It's not the greatest conference. But it's a solid conference of teams. And Yale loses 1 game. I know they didn't look very well against Princeton or Cornell. But Princeton's a very good squad. We saw them in March Madness years ago. They beat Arizona. We've seen Cornell do some interesting things. But Yale won both, and you have to respect it. I like Yale a lot in this one. I just don't think A&M is going to be ready for it. I really don't. I don't think they're a team that is going to adapt well to this Yale team, if that makes sense. Ole Miss versus North Carolina. See, here's the thing. This Ole Miss team is very good. They shoot the 3 very well. I love when they shoot the 3 well. The only problem is they cannot rebound the basketball and they have too many turnovers, which is not a good weaknesses at all. But I think they're going to get past North Carolina still. I know North Carolina, what they did to San Diego State last night. Don't get me wrong. But I like this Ole Miss team. I think they're a very good team. Sean Padula, he's a dog. In that game against Arkansas, this Ole Miss team also has a good amount of depth as well. I know UNC, the RJ Davis, who's a very good player. But I like Ole Miss in this one. Iowa State, Lipscomb, as much as Iowa State, without their starting point guard, I still think they're going to win. I do think Lipscomb can keep it close for the beginning of the game, but Iowa State, they're just a way better team. I really like Lipscomb. Thought they've had a really fun year in the ASUN, but give me Iowa State. Marquette versus New Mexico. This is one where I don't see the upset at all. I see a lot of people taking New Mexico. I get it. They were number 1 in the Mountain West. They were a very good team this year. But when I look at these 2 teams, I love Marquette a lot more right now. I know they lost to St. John's in the Big East tournament, but they're still a good team. They are still a powerhouse squad you need to look out for. They've got some great players on that roster. You need to look out for them. Give me Marquette now. And Michigan State, Brian, give me Michigan State. We're not going to waste time. Florida, Norfolk State again. We're not wasting time here. Give me Florida to win. UConn, Oklahoma. This is another really good 8-9 matchup. I really like both these teams. UConn, back-to-back national champions. That's kind of all they have. They have some good coaching. They have some experience, right? Back-to-back national champions. You need to respect that. This Oklahoma team has done something this year that I don't think a lot of people saw. At the beginning of the year, we all thought they were going to be a lock for March Madness. Then it looked they were going to be really out of the picture, but still ended up in as a 9 seed. There was a question kind of on Sunday. They were kind of a bubble team, but they ended up in. But as much as I like this Oklahoma team, I can't pick against UConn in this 8-9 game. No shot. Memphis versus Colorado State here. I look at these teams, and I see a very evenly matched game here. Memphis, yes, sure. They are a good team. They blew by the American Athletic this year. They have some good wins against Ole Miss back in December. But this Colorado State team, I believe, has won 10 straight games right now. Give me Colorado State. One of the biggest things about March is how you enter into March. And if you're in a 10-game winning streak, I'm easily picking you. And you can definitely match up well. I'm definitely picking you. Maryland Grand Canyon, this is not the same Grand Canyon team as last year. I just like Maryland a lot more in this one. I thought they're going to compete a very good amount in that Big Ten tournament, even though they turned out losing to Michigan. I like them a lot. I just don't see this Grand Canyon team doing it. I just don't. Missouri and Drake, I take Drake here. Kind of overthink it in a way, but also don't overthink it. Missouri, you got to remember, this Missouri team did not win a single SEC game last year. They come in, they have a hot year. Look what Drake has done. They have more than 30 wins on the season. They have only 3 losses. Why? I actually think Drake should have been up to a 10 or 9 seed, to be honest with you. I thought they were seeded very low, and for that, I'm going to give Drake the win over Missouri. Texas Tech versus UNC Wilmington. Give me Texas Tech. I just don't see this UNC team doing anything, to be honest. I see this as one of those, a throw-around game. Really, I do. Kansas versus Arkansas. Do I take a team that has been very inconsistent, or do I take a team that has a head coach that has recently been known for choking in March? And I know he's a great head coach. I have to go with Arkansas. This is the game where I could see it going either way. But I like Arkansas a bit more right now instead of Kansas. So I'm going to go with Arkansas in this one. So give me Arkansas. And then St. John's beats Omaha. Yeah. Moving on. And Duke probably going to get Mount St. Mary's. They're up a good amount, right? I believe they're up 10.5 right now. Something around that. So give me Duke to win that one. Doesn't matter. Mississippi State taking on Baylor. I like Baylor a lot, actually, in this one. I think Mississippi State, they started the year off 14-1, but they have progressively just been losing more and more games on the year. So I like Baylor a lot. I think they're going to give them a run, and they're going to put this game to bed. This Mississippi State team is exactly what it was like last year when they played Michigan State in the first round. I just don't see they're going to really be able to compete in it. I think they're going to be able to compete in it early, but by the end of the game, I think Baylor can just wipe away with this one. So give me Baylor to beat Mississippi State. Oregon Liberty, I like the upset here. I'll take Liberty, please. This Liberty team is a good team, and they dominated in Conference USA. Oregon, a very inconsistent team. I know they were on a hot stretch before their Big Ten loss to Michigan State. But you look back before that, they had, 5 losses in there? It's just, they're too inconsistent in my mind where I can take them to beat Liberty. I really like this Liberty team. I think they're a very good team, and I think they're going to compete very well. Akron versus Arizona. Just give me Arizona. I like this Akron team. Don't get me wrong. But give me Arizona. BYU, VCU. Here's my other 6-11 upset here. I like VCU in this one. I think it's kind of self-explanatory. A lot of people are picking VCU here. BYU is going to be, they're on the right track, but they're not there yet. Next year will be their year. You have the number 1 recruit coming to your school next year. Not this year, though. VCU is having a phenomenal season. A team that I think a lot of people were counting out a few weeks ago, who ended up being the number 1 seed in the Atlantic 10 and turned out winning the Atlantic 10. They're hot going into March right now. You need to watch out. You need VCU. Give me Wisconsin or Montana. I've seen a few people saying Montana was going to win this one. No. Sorry. I just don't see it. I really just don't. Maybe I'm going to be wrong when they play tomorrow, but I just don't see it. I'll take Vanderbilt over St. Mary's in this one. It's a fast-paced Vanderbilt team versus a slow-paced St. Mary's team. So I'm going to take the fast-paced team in Vanderbilt right now. Both teams, I feel like, kind of play the wrong basketball in a way when it comes around to March. Because you want a balance of both. And Vanderbilt and St. Mary's, I feel like, don't really have that balance. St. Mary's, yeah, they can shoot the ball somewhat, but they rely heavily on their defense and heavily on slow pace. For Vanderbilt, I feel like they rely a lot more on the fast pace. They've got some good wins on the year. They've beat teams like Tennessee and Kentucky. They know how to win the big game. I'll take them over St. Mary's. And then Alabama beats Robert Morris, the team from Pittsburgh. I'll take Houston over South, whatever, SI, UE, whatever. Gonzaga, Georgia, I'm sorry. I have to go Gonzaga here. I have to. There's no way Gonzaga loses to Georgia. That's like my lot. That might be my, like, 50-50 game is a lock for the first round. Nothing against Georgia. It's more of Gonzaga knows how to win in the earliest parts of March Madness. They do. They do. They've been to 7 straight Sweet 16s. You think Georgia's going to lose the streak for them? No way. Give me Gonzaga to beat Georgia. That game, 4:35 tomorrow, should be a really fun one there. But I'll take Gonzaga to beat Georgia. Clemson taking on McNeese. I've been thinking about it really a good amount. I really have. Like, when I say this, I mean it. Like, this is a game where I've fallen asleep to every night thinking about on who I want to take. But I've decided to take Clemson. McNeese is going to be a great squad, but the Clemson defense is just going to be too much. They are not going to be able to score the basketball enough, so I'll take Clemson to win. Purdue and High Point, give me High Point to win. This is my upset that I love. I don't see a lot of people taking this. High Point has the second longest active winning streak in the country right now. This High Point team ran through the conference tournament. I know they were down 14 in the title game, came back and won. They are one of the hottest teams going to the tournament. Purdue lost against Michigan. Purdue does not really know how to win in March. I know last year they had the run in the national title game, but years prior they were known for choking games. FDU and all these games. It ends here. St. Peter's, they also lost. North Texas. The list goes on. I like High Point here. Illinois versus the winner of Texas Xavier. I like Illinois, just going to be honest. I just don't really like either one of them. I think Texas is going to win tonight. Horns up, I guess. But Illinois is going to win. Kentucky and Troy. Give me Kentucky. I think there's been a lot of jokes around picking Troy and moving on. But I'm going to take Kentucky. UCLA and Utah State here. I'll go ahead and I will take UCLA to win this one here. UCLA is a team that is built for March. In my opinion, I think they rely a bit more on the defense. Like I said that with St. Mary's. But they do know how to shoot the basketball, I think, a little bit more than St. Mary's does. I mean, that's why they're both 7s, because they're very even teams. But I like UCLA more. I think they play better competition. I think they have some better players on the squad. So I'll take UCLA over Utah State. And then, obviously, Tennessee over Wolford. So, moving on now to the second round, we have Auburn versus Louisville. As much as I think that Louisville versus Creighton game will be a good game, the winner's going to get smacked around by Auburn. I know Auburn, they're 1-3 their last 4 games. I mean, they're going to be 2-3 in their last 5 when they meet Louisville or Creighton. But still, give me Auburn to win. Don't overthink it. Michigan taking on Yale. I think the run ends here for Yale. I think Michigan's just a way better team. I just don't really think Yale can score that well in this game against Michigan. I think Michigan's defense will be too much. Ole Miss, Iowa State. I like Ole Miss here. I think it's primarily Iowa State. 2 reasons, really. Number 1, you don't have your starting point guard. Number 2, the team's inconsistent. Self-explanatory. Iowa State gets on these runs where they win a bunch of games in a row, everyone's high on them, and then they lose 4 straight or something like that. So I'll take Ole Miss, please. Thank you. Marquette, Michigan State. I like Marquette here. I like Marquette. We always talk about how Tom Izzo is this demon in March. He hasn't won a national title since 2000. So, moving on, I don't care what you say. The dude hasn't won a natty since 2000. I like Marquette. I think they're going to shoot the ball very well in this one. So give me Marquette to win. Florida taking on UConn here. This is a great game. This is going to be a great second-round game to see. It'll be Sunday, probably Sunday night. I'm not exactly sure yet, but it's definitely on Sunday. And Florida wins. The run ends from Florida beating them. Because this Florida team, so much depth from him. Starters, to bench players, to coaching, to experience. Nothing is wrong with this Florida Gators team. We haven't seen a Florida Gators team like this since that 2021 Baylor team. So give me Florida. Colorado State, Maryland, you know what? The shoe fits. Colorado State moves on to take on Florida in the Sweet 16. I can't really give you like a ton of reasons for some upsets because it's what I think is going to happen. I just think Colorado State can match up very well with Maryland in this one. I think they're on a hot winning streak right now. I think Maryland, maybe they're a fraud. I'm not really too sure. But overall, I like Colorado State in this one, so give me Colorado State to win. Drake taking on Texas Tech here. I like Texas Tech. As much as I want to pick Drake to win, I have to go Texas Tech. There's nothing to me that shows that Texas Tech is going to be able to lose. Texas Tech's going to lose that game. They have kind of like a bye in the first round, to be honest with you. So give me Texas Tech over Drake. And then give me St. John's over Arkansas. I don't think the winner of Kansas and Arkansas can beat St. John's. St. John's defense is arguably the best defense in the country right now. So I'll take St. John's. Baylor and Duke, give me Duke. It's self-explanatory. Duke's a great team. Baylor won't be able to compete for all 40 minutes. Liberty, Arizona, the run ends there for Liberty. I think it's a one-win wonder. Arizona's going to move on. They're a way better team. Great offense and a great defensive team. VCU, I like over Wisconsin. I think they are so underrated. Such an underrated team to look at. I know a lot of people are picking them to beat BYU, but not a lot of people are taking them to beat Wisconsin. So I like VCU to get all the way to the Sweet 16. And who are they going to play? Alabama. Alabama, come on. They shoot the three very well. They're a very good offensive team. They have a pretty solid defense overall, somewhere in there. But the offense is so good, and Vandy will not be able to stop it. Houston, Gonzaga, I got to take Gonzaga. I have to take them. They've been in the Sweet 16 7 straight times. Why would they lose this one? They're still a good team. They won the West Coast Conference. They're still going to compete. Give me Gonzaga to beat the Houston Cougars. There's our first one seed out, folks. Moving on, Clemson High Point. The run hens for High Point. Clemson's defense, is going to be way too good to compete with High Point. So I just think High Point will be struggling to score a lot in this one and end up with a Clemson victory. Kentucky beating Illinois, please. Thank you. Illinois, I'm too scared to pick them to go very far because what we saw them do against Duke late in the year, when they had that random out of conference game against Duke in like February and they got blown out. I'm scared to pick them against Kentucky. And I'll actually take UCLA over Tennessee, please. This Midwest is my chaos bracket right here. This is the UCLA-Tennessee game may have a combined total like 100 points. But it's like two very good defenses, very slow-paced teams going against each other. I like UCLA to pull it out. Moving on, I like Auburn over Michigan. Again, Auburn's too good still. Give me Auburn to beat Michigan. Ole Miss Marquette. I like Ole Miss again. Why not one more? Give me them the win. And moving on. As long as they limit the, they get more rebounds than they should, and can limit the turnovers. Florida beats Colorado State. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Florida's just such a good team. I think about this game still, and I made the decision to go with Texas Tech to beat St. John's and get to the Elite Eight. Because Texas Tech can do it. They 1,000% can do this. They don't have the hardest path. Sure, you're going to have to get Drake and St. John's, who are two, harder teams. But it's still a pretty simpler path. So I'll take Texas Tech to win that one. I actually like Arizona over Duke here. This is my second one seed out now. Arizona is probably the most underrated team in this tournament, the most looked over team in this tournament, and they're going to prove it. They're going to prove it against Duke because this Arizona team, they've got some great talent on the squad. They've had a great second half of the year. They started off the year very slow, but here they are now, back in it very hot, and I think they're going to beat Duke. And then Alabama beats VCU. The run ends for them. When I see this Gonzaga-Clemson game, I see one thing. There's your Cinderella, right? Kind of like a Cinderella. I mean, it's an 8 seed. They've been in the Natty before, but it's my highest seed remaining. Yeah, definitely. So give me Gonzaga to beat Clemson in that one. I like Kentucky and UCLA. I think Kentucky's a really good team still. I know they've had some struggles down the stretch, but overall, Kentucky's still a great team. Auburn, Ole Miss. I'm going to take Auburn to beat Ole Miss for the fourth time this year. Auburn will be 4-0 versus Ole Miss this year. Florida, Texas Tech. I like Florida here over Texas Tech. I think Florida is just a way better team. Self-explanatory. Alabama, Arizona. I'll take Alabama to win this one. What Mark Spears can do out there for this Bama team, they know how to shoot the three. Like I said, the offense is really good, and I think the defense can match up very well in this one. So I'll take Alabama. And then Kentucky, Gonzaga. The run ends for Gonzaga, and Kentucky gets to the Final Four against Alabama. So yes, my Final Four does feature 4 SEC teams: Auburn, Florida, and Bama, Kentucky. Auburn, Florida, give me the Gators to keep on moving into the national title game. And who will they get? They will get the Kentucky Wildcats. Yes, you heard that right. Florida versus Kentucky. Kentucky got blown out by Bama about a week ago. That's going to be in the back of their mind going into this tournament 1,000%. So I'll take Kentucky to beat Alabama, get the upset in the Final Four. And for my national champion, I'm going with the Florida Gators to win the national title. I know it's a boring pick. I know it's not the greatest pick. It's kind of a boring. I get it, but it's the right pick. This Florida team is too good to pick against, so I will take Florida to win the national title there. So yeah, there's my bracket. You can look over it one more time really fast. You want to pause or see anything here. But yeah, that's my bracket here. So let's enjoy this. This is going to be a phenomenal March Madness. Once again, there's a lot of upset opportunities here this year. And yeah, thank you all for tuning in.